Okay, okay. And that is why you do not go to DeviantArt when you are streaming. It destroys the stream. Well, okay, we're going to have to do 2 parts on this one, unfortunately. But, let's get this second stream started up. Sigh. Oh well. Oh well. We're going now. So, let me just get things set up again. And, sit tight for a couple of minutes. Ta-do. 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 There we go. There we go. At least we have this pleasant music playing in the background. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. We are... Let's see here. We're going, I think. Let me just check this. Alright, okay. I think we should be all set. So, hopefully those that were watching the previous stream will be coming back in. If not, it was nice to have you people while you were here. Otherwise, I'm just going to get back to work on this comic here, because I do have things to do. Let's see, is this... Okay, that's on the wrong layer, as I thought it was. Anyone that is coming into this one, the previous video has what I was working on, like, up to this point in the comic page. This is the second part of the stream, because the previous one died, because I was trying to show stuff that I had been remaking of older video games over on DeviantArt. And unfortunately, DeviantArt is not exactly the best when it comes to staying connected with the streaming program. It's something you get used to over the months of, or I guess by now, year of working with this stuff. But as long as I'm getting work done on the comic, that's what the stream is primarily about. Yeah, we had a bit of a crash there, Shadow. It's because of us. Yeah, it was because we were looking at DeviantArt that the stream died there. Which, I guess if I can... Well, now things are... Okay, stop that. Let's go... Before it messes up, here is what I was trying to show, was all of these, like, the various things I had sketched out for ideas to remake older games with. Unfortunately, it looks like the computer, for some reason, is, like, blacking out the greens on these. But yeah, this is just various doodles that I did to get an idea for how to remake some of the older games to make them actually look good. Got Jumpman, Donkey Kong, Pauline, Darkwing. One main thing I was always trying to figure out is what the hell Ridley looks like in the original Metroid, because his sprite is very odd, and then the illustrations always, like, were different of him. It was always a little thing that I was trying to figure out. I've actually reanimated that, the Shell Creeper from the arcade Mario Bros. That was just, like, figuring out how to get it to pop back out of its shell. Yeah, that's, let's not stay on here. Let's leave, let resting beasts lie. Get back to what will not tempt the destruction of the stream. There we go. At least we have Edward here in the corner still. No, I'm doubting I'm going to really be able to be getting much in the way of upgrades all that often game save, but because this is like technically the new computer, the Windows 10. Although I do prefer working on the Windows 7. It's a smoother experience, usually. But maybe at some point my fortunes will turn around and actually get things published so that I get more money coming in. I'd say it'd probably be another year or so before I actually publish anything, though, since I still need to remake the first comic. And unlike every other comic I've done, that one is going to be like full color all the way through. That's going to be complete watercolor, not any of the graphite pencils or anything. No black and white pages for that one. Just a super special edition to start off the story with. Technically, we already have the start of the story from like over a decade ago, but I would not recommend going back and looking at that. Very, very inadequate, like, art-wise compared to how the series is by this point. There we go. All nice and filled in. We're over 40 minutes in, and I have not even finished the first panel. This is boding very well for how long this page is going to take. Oh, I doubt that I have time to talk on Discord tomorrow, Game Saved. I have my new job that I am going to be trying tomorrow. So that's probably gonna take up most of the day. But as long as you can always leave messages on the Discord, and I'll see them when I do. Let's see about this here. Oh, that's the newer Monster Boy game they came out with. Yeah, I went down after I, like, trained for the job I'm going to be trying tomorrow today. I went down to the bookstore and got a ham and brie sandwich. Oh, well, yeah, it will be nice to be making money again more stably, game saved. Although I'm not sure how profitable it'll be. It's only a part-time 4 hours a day thing for like 2 days at the moment a week. But it is more than I've been making. Like, commissions bring in like pretty decent money when you get good, like, big commissions, but obviously that's not the most frequent thing in the world. So it'll be nice to have a more stable source of income. Oh, the job is working as sort of valet at the moment. It's basically taking cars from a garage at the building and just bringing them up to ground level for the people of the building. It's basically just that for 4 hours, pretty much. And apparently they sometimes bring food down for you from, like, the people that live at the building. There were, like, donuts today that I got to have, so that was nice. And money and food, the two things that keep the world moving. I guess you also need water, but that's pretty readily available on this planet. Although, as the centuries go on, that's getting more and more filled with plastic, but we are not dead of microplastics yet. Oh, that's all the music there was? Wow, okay. That was a bit shorter than I thought it was gonna be. Let's see what we got here. The main thing that I do feel a bit, well, it has nothing to do with the job, just the stream that died here, is that we probably lost all the chat on the previous video since it, like, crashed, so all the things you guys said in the previous video is probably gone forever. Oh, but I doubt any of you were all that attached to any of that stuff. I sometimes save, like, when I know something has crashed and it's going to not allow me to see them again. I'll, like, go into the streaming program and save the chat manually for memory's sake. Let me see here. What about this one? This one's an advertisement. Oh, well, thank you, Shadow. I wish me luck on the job as well. I will listen to this. The ending theme of Mega Man 04. Rakuman 04. Oh, well, I'm pretty sure the cars are safe in my care, like, from getting stolen, at least game saved, although I will be sure to, make a spot down there in secret for the vehicles of the Edwardian army when all of you come over to initiate our takeover of the wonderful land of Ohio. Yeah, we can have this playing in the background as we take over the plazas and everything. Oh, and yes, they did say that they would be providing me with some shirts to wear for the job. They were asking if I was a large, medium, or small, as they were walking me through everything. I've known the building I'm working at for most of my life, actually, but I got to see some areas today that I'd never been in before. So I know where to set up all the points for the forces to infiltrate at when we make our move. We can convert this place into the main base of operations for our comic video game cartoon making studio. The Edward Mega Studio. That'll be the origin of the facility that Edward operates from in these YouTube videos. There we go, there we go. Yeah, it's just kinda neat seeing Edward over here on the side, actually talking and everything while I work. Hopefully it looks neat enough for you guys. I was showing it to one of the waitresses that talks to me at the cafe at the bookstore today, and she was like astounded by it moving along to my voice and everything in the Pluto video. Oh well, if I'm going to be a pro valet at that stuff at some point, game saved, I better be making more than I will be in this part-time thing of theirs. It will be nice, though, to know that I can sometimes go out to eat again, though, maybe. Pay the bills and all that. That I'll probably still be looking for opportunities on the side, of course. The main dream is actually getting a job either animating or cartoon making or comic making, which I do comic making. I'll do that regardless of anything that ever happens. But I mean, like, making money on it and stuff. Yeah, it's a bit harder to get into the animation side of the industry unless you know people within the industry, I think. You either... well, some people can, like, work real hard and get in that way just from sheer workforce for years and years and years on end, but a lot of it is about who you know, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, that's how a lot of jobs work, though. So, it's just kinda the way of the world. Or these days, you end up making some breakout hit on YouTube, and then everyone knows your name everywhere. I've certainly made animations that have quite a bit of effort put into them, but it isn't of things that I think, like, appeal to the widest audience or anything. Yeah, at some point I'll make some more expressions for Edward, I'm sure. Making, like closed eyes smile for, like, big happiness type of look. This look gives him quite a bit of the really sad depression, so he's pretty covered in the sadness department. Annoyance can kinda work as angry, so there's always this one for that. Oh, hello there, Dumbo. How are you doing? I saw you were playing as Alucard last night. I only stopped by for a couple of minutes because I was, like, working on this in, like, my end of things, but it seemed like you were having fun. We've just been going over things and having the previous stream crash on us because I went over to DeviantArt, which the streaming program unfortunately does not like. Now we are listening to Esperanto, or a remix of Esperanto from the end of Mega Man 04, for those of you that saw those videos. It's basically the main theme of that game. Yeah, the ending of the Mega Man Zero series originally was going to be Mega Man Zero 3, but Capcom wanted a fourth game, so the team that was working on the series ended up turning a game that they had planned to take place between Mega Man Zero's 1 and 2 into Mega Man Zero 4 instead. Which is probably contributes to sorta how that game is set up and stuff. It's a bit of a not as good of a game, I don't think, as Zero 3, but it is nice. And it does give the amazing epic ending to the series that is pretty definitive for what happens to Zero himself, ultimately. I've seen people compare Dr. Tenma to Dr. Wily over the years, and I get why, since, like, Tenma is the bad scientist of Astro Boy, and Akanamizu, the Dr. Light, basically, of the series, is the good scientist, but Wily is a lot more of a villain, usually, than Tenma. Tenma is usually just a very broken person that has, like, a lot of issues alongside his unmatched superior intellect. Oh, that's sad, Dumbo. I am sorry about that. It sucks that that had to happen. Whenever you have online games, that is sadly always an issue that can pop up. The disconnect. I've always preferred video games that are not, like, online video games. Like, there are good online video games, but I have always preferred the single-player ones, partly because it doesn't have the issues that come with multiplayer games in that regard. And partly because they have better stories and adventures and stuff that they don't have to adhere to, like, the whole multiplayer dynamic and everything. Although the video game, well, one of the video games I had planned for the universe that these comics take place in, which is, like, games that would be set between our time period and the comic time period, would have been an online multiplayer game that would have a story that I had made up that would go along with, like, whatever type of character you decided to play as. And it helps to lead into how things are by the point that the world the comics take place in starts, this era of Earth. That's all stuff that'll be covered decades from now, probably, if we ever get to it. If it gets to the point where I never end up, like, actually making that stuff, I'll be sure to release, like, information about how it would have gone before I die and everything. Don't want to leave all the decades worth of audience members in the dark on the, like, intricacies of the lore of the world. But for now, you all have to wait and see. Not spoiling everything over here. Although there are things from that era that do relate to things that pop up in the comic time period. As with pretty much every era of the franchise. They all have things that end up leading into things that are in the comic time period of stuff. I was surprised that the second Pluto stream, that's still up. I thought for sure that that was going to get blocked like the first one when I put it up. But for right now, it is still available for anyone that wants to see that. Let me see here. Okay. We're gonna disconnect this. Disconnect this. There we go. There we go. Okay. And let's see here. One music track I really wish someone would make an extended version of is like the menu theme of the PlayStation 1 computer version of Frogger. That was always one of my favorite just catchy themes. I could just go to it and play it on loop, but that it has like a cutoff point, so like it doesn't sound like a normal song if you play it like that. Oh, well, whatever works for you, Dumbo. You do like playing your games, so I imagine within the next few days, if not a week, you'll be back to streaming something over there. Something that I saw someone streaming last night was the next pieces of Keep Your Hands Off Aizukin that the creator of that manga was working on. He always streams working on the comic, but I rarely ever, like, look at it since it's, like, it's in Japanese, so I can't really understand what's being said. I always like seeing it get worked on, but when everything is, like, in a language that you don't understand, it makes it a bit harder to, like, really be as invested, because it feels like you're missing out on stuff that others are able to understand. But I can sometimes, like, take the time to copy-paste what people are saying in that chat and quickly look up and translate on Google what the audience is saying, at least. Yeah, let's save this so it doesn't crash and take everything with it. Alright, that's saved. Let me see here. I'll switch over to this tune. This tune of beautiful somberness. I'm always very astounded by people that work on the VTuber models and stuff game save. It seems like a tremendous effort to do so. It seems very rewarding, though. I imagine at some point I'll probably take a stab at doing the VTuber stuff, but honestly, Edward over here, he feels like he's more along the lines of what I want to do, since it's like looks like an actual cartoon and stuff. Okay, where is the opening to this? Was it down here? It was down there. I figured it was right over there. Okay. Do we finally have the first panel done? Okay, we have the very first panel after like an hour of doing this finished. So I guess we will be here for like 7 hours today or something. Well, we're not going to be. I will certainly shut things off before then. Actually, should I should probably do the black of the pants here. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that, Dumbo. No, with YouTube, it's always felt a bit iffy to do it as a job for me. I know there are people that can make it work, but it feels like I don't really, like, update often enough for people to pay that much attention to my stuff, so the sort of money that you would get from that would be pretty much next to nothing for me. But if you can make it work, now I'm sure that can work out. Let me see here. How does this... It's hard to tell with, like, all these speed lines going on in the image what all to, like, fill in blackness-wise. Of course, I just simply do this to myself with all the line work I do. That's what adds the interestingness that the eye will catch. There's a manga that always looked real detailed to me that I've never, like, read before. It's called Vanguard. The art always looked nice, but I've never actually, like, looked at it. The latest manga I've seen is, I think, My Best Friend is Clueless, or My Clueless First Friend. I think that's the name of it. It's a cute little thing of, like, these kids that seem to like each other, but it's like this ditzy boy that doesn't understand when a girl is being insulted by being called a Grim Reaper, and he thinks it's just the kids calling her cool, and just sort of the shenanigans and embarrassment that can arise from his innocent misunderstanding and affection toward her. Oh, well, anxiety-wise, I think the whole world is getting more anxious by the day. Yeah, that is one of the a bit more frequent of symptoms that I hear of from people, Dumbo. Anxiousness is a pretty prevalent issue for today's society, I think. Hopefully this music is helping to quell some of the tension in the atmosphere. It has some tension to it itself, but some of the music in this track is quite lovely and peaceful, I feel. Yeah, this part of the music. And of course, we got more punching in the face here. Now, if this were an actual real-life fight, the combatants would probably be completely bloody at this point, with, like, how often the Claw and Doko have, like, punched each other in the face. Thankfully, though, this is a cartoon, so they will keep on going. I guess you could probably stage a fight like this, but this is actual genuine pain they are displaying. Technically, everybody is autistic. It's just the severity of it differs from person to person. Whenever people talk about autism, well, a lot of people, it doesn't seem like they understand at all what autism is. They just kinda say it because they've heard it, is what it sounds like to me. Because it's like, when people are saying, well, I'm not autistic or something like that, it's like, no, you're wrong, you are autistic. Like, that's part of what being a human is. But I know that it's just them, well, either not understanding it or just generalizing it into terms that are more easily understandable for those that don't normally talk about the stuff. Oh, I have never been to any convention in my life. I always see videos of them, but I myself have never gone to one. I imagine it's a bit fun, but I just have never done it. I did, the other day, the birthday present that my dad had gotten for me finally arrived, and it was this little statue or figure. It's not a little one, it's like probably the size of my arm or something, my forearm, like not my entire arm, but it's a figure of Batman from the episode Almost Got Him, and it's like in black and white, I think because it's like a Comic-Con variant. It has like the sticker for Comic-Con on it. Can I look it up? Let's see here. Batman Almost Got Him figure. Yeah, everyone's from either Texas or Florida. Texas is basically big enough to be its own country. From what I remember, it has tried to, like, secede from America a few times throughout history. Let's see here. Oh, maybe this is just, like, a Comic-Con figure in general, because every picture I'm seeing of it has the Comic-Con sticker on it. Let's see if I can get a good image of the figure here, though. Oh, right, I did put the image up on Discord. Well, I guess, for anyone that is not on the Discord, you can see it over here. This is what my dad got me. The figure from Almost Got Him, which, I'm not sure really why they, like, decided this for the Almost Got Him figure, because it's, like, just looks like a normal Batman pose to me. But I guess it's special to have that since the episode is so widely regarded. Millionaire Bruce Wayne, just a boy when he saw his parents gunned down, blah-de-blah, everyone knows his backstory. This 9-inch scale figure Batman based on his appearance in the series Almost Got Him, and he hardly appears, like, he appears for like half the episode, because it's mostly about the villains, just telling stories. But it is special to have that kind of a figure. Dad sent me a few figures of Batman the Animated Series in the past, and it is a series that I always do like to get stuff from. Such art. from that show. They made the backgrounds on black paper for that to add to the moody effect of the show. Then they switched over to how they were doing it for the final season on Kids WB, which is not nearly as good looking to me, but the actual adventures and stories are still completely in line with the rest of the series. Yeah, the main guy that suffered from the transition into that version of the show was the Joker. They, like, got rid of his lipstick and everything and just made him, like, have black eyes. It looks very little like the Joker other than the hair and him smiling, but I have seen people that have, like, reanimated him in those scenes, and it looks wonderful when they, like, make him look like the older Joker for those scenes of the show. Because the show by that point was a lot darker than how it was in the original seasons, because there wasn't as much censorship that was allowed when they went to Kids WB instead. Yeah, it was nice having the kitty gloves off, so to speak. Let's see. Just trying to find... Oh, here it is. This is like probably the best Joker they ever did in that style. Just that face is like completely the Joker, with or without the lipstick. Complete psychotic laughing. Unfortunately, you don't get that much of that expressiveness from him usually, but when you do, it's something special. Now, they still clearly were incredible at the artwork by the time of that season. It's just some of the redesigns were not what I would have gone with for how the overall look of the thing was. But they still had it going. It's still a pivotal part of the show. Yeah, I haven't really streamed much of anything in the way of video games since I got done doing the Resident Evil games last month. It was really fun doing that, but with how things have gone, I haven't really had time to do much in the way of video games streaming, while keeping the comics and everything going alongside, like, the job money issues. But I'm sure I'll stream some video game again at some point. This channel is kinda just whatever I want to do at whatever point in time. If I were, I guess, a sellout, one might say, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Yep, I knew that. Yeah, if I were, like, more of the sellout type, I would just try to probably do reaction videos and everything after doing the Pluto video the other day. But, no, this channel is just whatever I want to do at whatever point in time. You get reactions, well, you get that reaction. I don't know if I'll ever do one again, but you get that, you get Let's Plays, you get reviews, you get these drawing videos. All sorts of things. Down, boom, ba, ba, bum, ba-dum, boom. Down, down, boom. Oh yeah, eventually there will be time to do stuff. We have our whole lives ahead of us to do whatever we think up for our different internet websites and channels and everything. Eventually Discord will probably die out and everyone will migrate to the next platform they set up. Then there'll be an Edward facility there, a little outpost of the overall Edward operations in the digital landscape. The digital circus of our world. Oh, well, I do know you want to play that stuff, Game Save, but I've not really been feeling much in the way of inclination to try that stuff out myself. Especially not, on the channel here. The whole co-op thing for the streaming stuff is not necessarily something I've been all that into. Unless it's like maybe some Mario Party fun get-together game that everyone is like commentating on and like ridiculing each other over. Just a little party time type thing. But in general, the whole online multiplayer thing doesn't feel like it really lends itself as well to what I have for the Edward style of things. For me personally, it would have to be like... it'd have to be something that would have to click with me first to really get into that type of stuff for the channel. Yeah, usually I like single-player games for the things that I stream. Then you got single-player things like the game that this music track is from, which I will probably never play on stream, because I don't need no Mega Man X6 on here. Oh well, I hope your dinner goes well, Dumbo. For my foreseeable future for the night, it's looking like I'm just going to be having to do this comic page for the rest of the night with how slow this is. How many dokos there are to color in here and all that. Oh, I did see the other day that somebody actually found and put up the pilot episode of Hey Arnold, but it ended up like immediately getting taken down. So it was there for like half a day, and now it's like lost again. But it does exist. Perhaps someday someone will provide a proper source to get it from for those that want to preserve it. We'll see what happens at some point, Game Saved. Yeah, no, unfortunately, that did slip through, it looks like, Shadow. Although I'm sure there is people out there that saw it and immediately saved it as soon as they could, so there's bound to be those out there that still have it on hand. I think it was on some VHS tape or something that someone got it from. Bing bong, ba-da-da-dum bong bong. Okay. Yeah, right now I'm contemplating about maybe going to the valet thing tomorrow before the job to, like, just make sure that I have everything down on how it all operates. We'll see. He said that on Fridays and Sundays, which is primarily when I'd be working, that, there's usually quite a bit of downtime, so if I want, bring in the sketchbook to, like, just doodle in the meantime, which I will certainly take advantage of. I do have to get the rest of the pages of the comic all drawn out. I have this whole fight all done. It's just, I have to get through, like, coloring and detailing all the pages. But I don't have, like, the entirety of the comic drawn out yet, like, the after stuff after the match. Because obviously I'm not going to just end it where it's like, it ends, the match is over, and that's the comic. Like, obviously there's stuff you have to include to properly finish the story out. And that'll probably lead into things in the issue that'll happen afterwards. Which will probably be like, I'd say a couple of years from now that we actually get to the next saga after this. Because, having to remake all the older ones. Although, by the point that we get to that saga that's after this one, hopefully the series will be in publication by that point with the remakes, so that Edward here will be getting proper funding for the continuation of the series. We'll see how that goes. Still not quite sure how all that's going to pan out, but regardless of how things continue, it will continue. As long as Edward is alive and breathing, it will prevail. And if Edward falls, there's always the Abula option from the Pluto anime of making the robot duplicate to carry on your agenda. Yeah, for anyone that has not seen the Pluto anime, well, for those that saw Edward's reactions to it, it's pretty clear that I would say it's certainly something to watch. Very, very interesting and very detailed and stuff. Sci-fi lovers around the world would probably go wild. Probably are going wild. I would have loved to see it on, like, the 2000s Toonami. Feels like it would have been perfect on there. Alongside things like Big O and stuff. Zoids and all that. And I guess alongside the 2003 Astro Boy to keep things in line with the material it's covering. Although, that's the English version of that version of Astro Boy is like the most kiddie version you can get of the series. Yeah, the American team working on the 2003 Astro Boy that were like editing it for America and dubbing it really, I don't think, understood what Astro Boy was. It really did not feel like Astro Boy to me in that version of the show. But at least it wasn't 4Kids. You never go full 4Kids. Turning all the guns in One Piece into Super Soakers and taking out all the English words for some reason in Sonic X. It's just bizarre how they did their editing process in those shows. Then Kirby, well, in all the shows you get, like, episodes just completely missing. It's, an utter ruination of those series under that umbrella of dubbing. But anytime you see those shows in, like, their original versions, it's usually a pretty good time. Sonic X is one that I wouldn't say is, like, the best show. It's very, pretty cheaply animated, actually. It's not really good and just kinda messes up the Sonic Adventure stories and stuff, but it's decent enough. It's, like, still a watchable anime. It's just not as good as, like, you know, Kirby, One Piece, all the other stuff that was being done on the 4Kids side of things. And then somehow they ended up making the 2003 Ninja Turtles show, and I never understood why they allowed all the stuff that was done in that show to be done, and then take out all the stuff from the animes. Because, like, you have some very horrific stuff in the 2003 version of the Ninja Turtles. Which is why it's so amazing. It basically feels like, the comics, the original comics of Ninja Turtles a lot of times, and then sort of evolves into being even better than those comics at certain points. Yeah, the 2000s were a pretty good period when it came to, like, cartoons and stuff in America. Yeah, a lot of people talk about things as if nostalgia is, like, a huge factor in what people think is good, and it can be. But when something is good, it is good forever, regardless of whether or not you grew up with it. There's, like, very clear lines of what is and isn't good. Like, all the 80s cartoons do not compare to, like, the 2000s cartoons or the 60s cartoons normally. Oh, the 3D version of the Ninja Turtles, assuming you're talking about the Nickelodeon one, game saved, would probably be, I think it was the 2012 or 2013 version of the Ninja Turtles. That was always a pretty nice one. My favorite will always be the 2003 one, but I'll still watch the 2012-2013 version of the Ninja Turtles. It does have quite some expressiveness to it. And it probably has them acting the most like teenagers, although Rise of the TMNT has the personalities as, like, feels like more modern teenagers for that one. Haven't seen too much of that show, but I've seen, like, most of all of the others. I remember there was a period where Nickelodeon was having all sorts of different animators do their own Ninja Turtle shorts and everything on the network. It was like, I remember Jonan Vasquez, the guy that does Invader Zim, did one of the shorts, and there was a pretty epic one where they were, like, fighting Krang on top of a train and stuff, and one where they disguise as humans to see what it's like in high school and everything. Then there was one that was like set in the far, far future where mutants are like normal people in society, and they had a bunch of like 4 teenage humans and robot mechs, and it turns out at the end that Michelangelo as an old man is their master Splinter that's been training them, and all sorts of cool little ideas for those shorts. Oh yeah, the mech one was really neat. Shadow, it was always cute to me that Michelangelo always seems to be the one that's like the fun, goofy guy, but later on in life is like potentially the best one of the turtles. And that's always been a nice little touch that's been sort of consistent to me throughout the franchise. Obviously, you have The Last Ronin, where he is the last surviving Ninja Turtle and everything. And then you have The Same as It Never Was, which is I would say the original dark future of the Ninja Turtles. It was always it was one of the best episodes, but it was one of the saddest episodes of the 2003 series. Yeah, it's over here. It's this episode of the 2003 show where Donatello ends up warped into the future, and because he wasn't there, like, the family fell apart and Shredder took over the world, and they gotta find a way to get Donatello back and beat the Shredder before he goes back, and pretty much everyone ends up dying besides Donatello, but they do kill the Shredder in that world finally before he leaves, so they at least free that world from the evil that was plaguing it. Yeah, Michelangelo's like missing an arm in that version, and Splinter is dead by that point. He's buried at like, what is it, Central Park? It's like one of the main parks of New York is where they buried Splinter there. Yeah, the 2003 show really felt like it was the one that carried on the atmosphere of the comics. Probably because it was being done, like, overseen by Peter Laird, one of the original comic creators. Although Kevin Eastman was the guy that was overseeing the 2013-12 show, and he's the other creator of the Turtles, so you get kinda two different atmospheres from the two different creators. They always had different personalities. Kevin Eastman always thought of himself more as the Raphael between them, and Peter Laird was always the Donatello of the two of them. So more of the wild hothead take on things, and then the more intellectual, reserved take on things. I usually like the more Peter Laird version of stuff. Feels more like traditional comics and more thought out in the sort of detailing science-y storytelling of it. Kevin Eastman, though, is always a wild ride. Oh, well, if you want to post streams on the streaming thing in the Discord game save, you're always free to do that. Anyone that wants to post any streams is always welcome to post whatever they are doing at whatever point in time they are doing stuff. Oh, you might get a Ninja Turtles that is more adult Daniel if it were on Cartoon Network. With how things have been going over the last decade, they have been leaning more towards Adult Swim, which has thankfully allowed things like Samurai Jack to finally get its ending. Which is all that Edward here was waiting for before he died, so now Edward can die with no regrets. He has finally seen what he had been waiting for like over a decade. Invader Zim was just a bonus. Yeah, for if you were to do like a Ninja Turtles series that was like carrying on the exact nature of the original comics, it would have to be on Adult Swim. Which isn't to say the original comics are like the most adult thing ever. They're not like the most bloody or anything, but they are rather uncensored, I guess you would say. It's not as it doesn't care if you know that people die from the battles that happen, like where you have scenes where people are fighting and they get flung off a vehicle. It's like, oh yeah, he probably will be okay because this is a kid's cartoon type of thing. It's more of, oh, you get to see him fly off the car, and no, he absolutely probably died from that, is the difference, I would say, that there is between the comics and the cartoon versions of the Ninja Turtles. It's sort of just doing things without the restrictions that come with the more kid-aimed stuff in America when it comes to cartoons. Although there are moments in the comics that are absolutely not at all for kids. The showdown with Shredder. Let's actually, can I find that? Ninja Turtles Shredder Leonardo. Yeah, if I can find it, the original comics, when they, oh, here it is. Well, this is actually, I think this is on the inside of the cover of, like, the third collection of the comics that I have. Like, I have all the original Ninja Turtle comics and, like, hardcover collections. But, yeah, here was, like, the original, like, they kill Shredder in the very first comic of the series. But he ends up coming back, like, later on through, like, comic book stuff. And he ends up having a showdown with Leonardo after the Turtles battle their way through the facility that the Foot has, like, made in the city after they, like, got rid of the Turtles and they go to April's barn house to recover in the country. Then they come back, battle their way up through their headquarters, and Leonardo confronts the Shredder without the Shredder, like, the Shredder takes off all his armor for their fight just to, like, be a badass and everything. And when the final blow is made, Leonardo, you can see right here, it's a very thin line, but he slices through the throat and neck of the Shredder to decapitate him. And that's how he dies in, like, the original comics, for, like, what the original creators did of the Shredder. After that, the creators of, like, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman sort of stopped working together all that much, so you get, like, a lot of other people working on the comic after that. They sort of returned for a bit for, like, City at War, which was supposed to be the saga where the original creators would have sort of started up the series again proper and gotten things back to being a more concise story that would have gone on, but that ended up being the last thing they ever worked on together, so they sort of just parted ways after that. And yeah, that's sort of how the original partnership of the Turtles ended up ending with the creators. There's been stuff afterwards where they've worked together, but in terms of, like, the original series, that's sort of where it ends for the original two guys. But there is The Last Ronin, which is what I'm assuming that Shadow the cartoonist is pointing out here, which is The Last Ronin was a new comic that they ended up making. Like, it was an idea that they had for how the Turtles might end when they were working on the original stuff, and it ended up getting permission to be worked on and made into an actual comic, which sort of gives a many years later ending to the Ninja Turtles, which doesn't really go along with some of the stuff from the original comics, but it is, like, it's so far removed that you can sort of tack it on as the ending of any series, pretty much, if you want. It's just sort of a nice little ending, potential ending to the Turtles. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Oh, yeah, that Toys That Made Us thing. No, I have seen that the Toys That Made Us bit of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird before, but that was a few years ago now, I think, that they did that. Yeah, eventually Kevin Eastman, like, dropped out of the Ninja Turtles entirely and, like, gave all of his shares to, like, Peter Laird. And then Peter Laird spearheaded the 2003 cartoon, which is kind of doing a more proper comic version of the Ninja Turtles as a cartoon. And then after that, I think he pretty much had enough of the Turtles and he'd said, like, he was ready to just be a spectator. His time on the Turtles was done, so that's when it got sold off to Nickelodeon. And ever since then, he said there's things that he'd have done differently, but it's not his anymore. It is for the next people to do with as they think they should. And he has said that he enjoys some of it. And Kevin Eastman is obviously helping on he helped on the 3D show. Not quite as sure about Rise of the TMNT, but Rise of the TMNT certainly has some personality to it. If I remember right, Rise of the TMNT Raphael is like the leader in that one, which was kind of weird to me, but I'm assuming what it is it's like building up to when Leonardo is gonna be the leader. Yeah, Leonardo always felt sort of like Teen Titans Robin to me. Just sort of the really hard on himself leader guy.